Life at the Chateau is always a mix of tranquility and mayhem. Every day we reduce the huge log pile by a wheelbarrow or so in the forlorn hope of staying warm. Aside from the renovation work we're doing, we still have to stay on top of the running repairs, like when the dogs pull down a curtain you've only just put up. This one will hopefully be easy. Some sturdier rings and hooks and the rail is back up. Or repairing a rail in the stable that a horse has kicked down. There's always a job that needs doing, and then there's the tranquility. I never realised that one of my favourite sights and sounds would be seeing and hearing the cranes fly over as they migrate. Now it's only the beginning of February and I wasn't really expecting them to migrate north till later than this, but to be perfectly honest, I know absolutely nothing about them other than they're beautiful when they're flying in their tens or hundreds, and they make this wonderful noise.
Just had a big hay delivery. It's really good stuff. And the horses are eating it over the wall of their stable, which doesn't bother me unduly because it's good stuff. It's forage. Generally speaking, horses just need to chomp, chomp, chomp all the time. Neither of them's overweight, so I'm reasonably happy as they make a mess of the new bales. It's obviously very tasty.
Welcome to Jane's Find of the Day with Jane.
Hello and welcome to this week's Find of the Day at Chateau de Pican. Today I'm going to be talking about this mirror behind me, and it has a friend, a smaller one, on the other wall, so that when you are looking in the mirror you can see your reflection behind, you can look at the back of your head, check your hair. So yeah, exactly the same but just slightly smaller. And I thought this was really rather attractive and I wanted to find out a bit more about it. I found an example of a mirror that looks very similar to this, and it's described as being made of ebony with gold, obviously. But that one also had a tortoiseshell border, which this one doesn't. But it does have a very similar inner, highly sort of detailed, decorative inner border here. But my question is this the genuine article, or is it something that's been made to look like it's of the Baroque period, which the one for sale I've seen, that's how they described it. They described ebony. And I was excited to think, ooh, that sounds interesting. But I suspect this has been painted. It's been painted black and it's been painted gold. If you look closely, you can see the paintwork has kind of spread a little bit in places, a little bit of gold here, a little bit of black there. So I suspect this has been made in that style, but it's not terribly old. That would be my guess. But nonetheless, it is very attractive and we really like them. So it's still a lovely thing.
Why is there always a spaniel in the way? Well, I guess that's the thickness I've got to build up the step before the wood goes on it, and then, well, I've just got to hope that this is all flat and level. What do you think, Bunty?
The Chateau DIY crew were due to grace us with their presence. For those who don't know, it's a television programme in the UK. But the time lost from my nasty cold and Jane's brief bout of food poisoning put a spanner in the works. We were slightly behind schedule, forcing us to rejig the filming plans. Turns out this slight delay meant I finished the stair base ahead of time. Wasn't even planning to do it this week. A major step forward. I'm not even going to ask forgiveness for that terrible pun. This week I'm trying to work on recreating some of the panelling in the secret bathroom. And because the panelling is going to go back in a different way to how it was when we found it, I've got to be a little bit creative. And so this panel and this panel made up part of the peninsula bit that went next to the horrible old toilet. And I needed this panel to go effectively where it was, but straight back to the wall, so like here, if you imagine that being the wall. And this panel is to be used as part of boxing for the bath taps that are going to go out over the edge of the bath. And so they're only glued together, so I made the effort to carefully take them apart. And in doing so, I snapped them apart completely and left part of what I need on here for that one on there, and so it's in a bit of a mess. So my next effort is to carefully try and get this end bit off so I can glue it back together, and there's a bit that came off there, put it back together, fill in the gaps with some wood filler and make it as good as I possibly can, because it's going to be really difficult for me to recreate this, and I really need this bit to work. My plan, as you might be able to guess, is just to try and get a Stanley knife blade down as far as possible through the glued join, in which case I might then just be able to sort of wiggle them apart a bit. Oh, success! That's brilliant. Really brilliant. So what I'll have to do is just clean out the brake to make sure that any loose flakes of wood aren't fouling it, so I can really get it all tightly back together, glue it down, and then I'll just fill in any gaps that are left. And that's good. The only problem is that took me ages just to separate the broken bit from there. I've got to do it again on this side with this bit, and this bit's thicker. Let's see. Anyway, I've got to do it again. Although because I'm not reusing this bit, I might be able to just cut this off, because I am planning to buy a new tool. I'm going to buy a table saw, in which case I should be able to slide this through and just chop this bit off. So that should be that problem solved.
Taking a break from repairing the wood panel, I started applying layers of linseed oil to the terracotta tomettes in the bathroom. The oil soaks into the tiles and helps to protect them from water ingress and staining. I'll apply at least 3 layers before grouting. Once that was finished, I went back to glue the panelling. In case you're wondering, I was using an offcut of wood as a spatula to apply the glue. It's better than sticking my finger in the pot anyway. Some days it really feels like we're not making any progress with the renovations, especially as we've got an important deadline for finishing the guest suite. Keeping up with the day-to-day animal care and the running repairs, add to that my Saturdays are now taken up completely with 7 hours of French lessons, and of course the correcting of the odd cock-up or two. It's no wonder that time sometimes slips away. Anyway, this cock-up is being repaired with the help of 10 clamps. It will be as good as new, damn it. Get out of that! You can't, can you? No, you can't. The moment that perhaps none of you have been waiting for.
Well, I think the one I saw for sale described as being made of ebony with gold and a tortoiseshell border. I mean, it had the exact same style in the corners, with flowery bits here and this quite distinctive corner detail. That one was sold for about €800, but I suspect this is not that. I suspect I've no idea how much it would be worth, but sort of thing you'd buy in a shop that looked pretty, so maybe €100, something like that. Still just as pretty, but it's not as valuable.
Welcome to an utterly pointless game show.
This is the first and almost certainly the only episode of Do I Look Like My Pet? And many people say, oh, that person really looks like their pet, or whatever it is people say about people looking like their pets. Oh, they always pick the same pet because they look like that animal. I don't know what they say. You know, King Charles looked like his spaniels. Anyway, I've got spaniels, but I don't look like King Charles. But what I'd like to know is, do I look like any of my spaniels?
1.
Now, Bunty is my little spirit animal. She has been my companion for 7 years, and I hope for at least 7 more years. And she does like to lick my neck, which is quite disgusting. I don't really think I look an awful lot like Bunty. She is very beautiful, which we have in common. Ugh, she licked my mouth. Yuck. But I think the similarity stops there. Don't you? Yes. But I do have 3 more spaniels to choose from.
2.
Now, this is Bonnie. This is Jane's spaniel. She's about 170 years old. And again, I don't really think I look anything like Bonnie. She has brown hair. She has roomy little eyes that can't really see very much. And even though I'm talking right into her ear, she has no idea that I'm talking. Do we have anything in common, Bonnie?
3.
Now this is where it gets interesting. Tinkerbell, one of the new Pupsicles. She has a lovely ginger beard, and she has this lovely head of unruly hair. Do you think we look alike? Sorry, that wasn't even French, that was almost German. Perhaps there's a little bit more in common between me and Tinkerbell. What do you think, Tink? She's not sure. And we have one more dog to try.
4.
This is Tiger Lily. I think we found a match. This concludes the only ever episode of Do I Look Like My Pet? Jane is busy painting in the secret bathroom, so I'm going to see how she's getting on. Oh, she's done quite a lot. How's it going?
Oh yeah, I feel pretty happy actually. When I first started putting the paint on, it just all sort of disappeared into the wood. But I think maybe it needed a bit more stirring. But anyway, now when I put the first coat on, it's actually quite good coverage, and I'm really happy with the colour. I think it's going to look great with the wallpaper. It kind of is one of my favourite colours. I'm very much on the turquoise spectrum, but I think it's a good colour. It kind of looks green sometimes, or blue or grey, depending on the light, which I think is good with the colour. Makes it more interesting. So yeah, very happy.
Good. I can see that the wet paint that you just put on looks almost like a completely different pot of paint to the one to the right of you. And is that just the light, or is that?
I think the light.
Yeah.
I've only just, that coat was done, I don't know, 15 minutes ago. It's not like it's not completely dry now. So yeah, it's very much the light, how the light catches it. If you put the artificial light on, it goes grayer. And in the dark, it looks, well, you know, in more subdued lighting, not in daylight, if you like, or darker daylight, it looks, you know, darker green. So yeah, it's interesting, but it's going to go really well with the wallpaper. So, and it's brilliant to really start to see the decorative scheme coming together. So yeah, really happy.
This bit of wood panelling, like all the other bits of wood panelling I've been working on lately, is from the secret bathroom originally. Now this is, well, it's quite nice wood panelling, but it is only made of oak and it's probably 30 years old. It was probably built in the 90s. So whilst it was built very well, it's good quality craftsmanship, I think. It's not ancient oak panelling or anything. And so we don't have a problem with decorating this as we see fit. We're not desecrating some ancient relic or some ancient design that needs to be preserved. This is just something that was made to look nice in the 90s. And so please don't hate us if we pick a colour that you don't like. This sort of went round the old bath, so it was sort of a ceiling frame for the bath. And now I'm going to make it, hopefully, wood panelling that will go on the back wall behind the toilet and behind the head of the bath. And hopefully that will go across and just sort of finish off that wall. And it might mean I don't need to plaster the plasterboard that I put in place. I might just be able to cover it with this and make good around it, and then we can wallpaper or paint the wall or whatever it is Jane is planning to do. So first things first is I've got to chop these long bits. Well, I've already chopped one down, but I had to do that just to get this bit out of the secret bathroom when I removed it. So if I'm going to cut these back to here on each side, if I can recreate this profile with my router, I might just be able to continue that across, in which case that might be the surface I can work with, and this can just have skirting board on there, and that will be my ideal. But we'll just have to see what I can do with this edge, see if I can finish it off neatly so it matches in, otherwise it'll look a little bit odd. I suppose the next thing to test is, does it fit in the gap? So that's the general idea. It'll be possibly a little bit lower and obviously more straight, and then there will be some nice skirting board going around it to finish it off, but I think that'll work.
Right, well I'm just actually cleaning my brush because I'm pretty much finished for the day, and I'm about to pack up and go and sort the dogs. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it's looking. So I've been around most of it. I just started to do the basin cabinet, but yeah, I think it's going to look gorgeous.
If you've stuck with us this far, then why not look at one of our older videos? Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.